Hello, everyone. Welcome to the February 2021 edition of our Author Showcase Series and Virtual Experience, brought to you by the South Florida Writers Association. Each month, we bring extraordinary, talented members and authors to this showcase so that you can learn more about their works and the incredible things they're doing. If at any time you'd like to look at our archive or series of videos, you can click the links down below. Today is our privilege to welcome Fernando Cabrera, author of Dead and Lost. Fernando Cabrera was born in Havana, Cuba. He immigrated to the United States as a child, and after a few years living in South California, moved to Miami. From early on, he has been fascinated by learning the history of his adoptive city in all its uniqueness. Fernando is a political science graduate of Florida International University. He has worked in the legal field for 30 years in managerial roles and briefly as a court mediator. He is a member of the Florida Courts Technology Commission, National Docketing Association, and the International Legal Technology Association. Dead and Lost is Fernando's third published work, and it brings together two of his passions, the law and Miami history. He shares his many Miami stories with his wife, Veronica, and their children, Carlos and Karina. It is with great pleasure to welcome you back, Fernando, for our showcase.
Thank you, Billy. It's a pleasure to be asked once again to be part of the South Florida Writers Association Author Showcase. For those of you who are new to SFWA, welcome. And to those who may be trying to get information about the organization, I can tell you that we comprise an eclectic and diverse group of poets, novelists, historians, and somewhat off-centered bibliophiles. I highly recommend the SFWA for those seeking to expand their writing skills, connect with similar minds, and find a place to share those quirky thoughts we get from time to time but cannot decide when and how to write them down. I want to thank Books and Books for helping promote local authors. Hopefully, we will soon be conducting these presentations live in their quaint US 1 store. Books and Books is a true Miami original, and we are fortunate to have access to them, and I thank them for offering my book on their site for sale. Lastly, I would like to thank my publisher, Sophie Publishing House, also a Miami original, which gives local authors access to disseminate their work. Sophie Publishing is locally owned and provides an excellent author experience. This book is also available through their site, as well as their new store in Miami International Mall, which will give local authors another venue for getting their works out. And now, without further ado, Dead and Lost. When I was a child, I saw The Wizard of Oz on TV. Beyond lions and witches and ruby slippers, there was another thing I took away from that movie. What happens when you pull back the curtain? In that movie, all the glitz and all the power is the effect of smoke and mirrors. That image of scraping the gilding off stayed with me. Dead and Lost is my third published novel and my second one centered on the city of Miami. Over nearly 37 years of continuous residency in Miami, I have seen a city rise from low-rise postmodern buildings and morph into a glass and steel showcase. But every new tower and every five-star hotel has a backstreet, an alley, a place where things happen that do not make it onto the curated social media sites. The theme of the book is addiction, plain and simple. Those are not the addicts that we're told about daily. These are successful, highly functioning individuals, one of whom finds the dark alleys of the city. Dead and Lost does not take place in well-lit lobbies or million-dollar mansions. The story is set in back rooms and garages and in very dark places. The challenge for two of the characters is, can addiction be overcome? It is important to take notice of the setting and tones of the story. In the opening chapters, the story presents a successful attorney in a large Miami firm. There is also a professional couple enjoying a day of scuba diving in the Florida Keys. All is light, all is sunshine. When the stillness of a lazy morning is shattered by gunfire, the setting of the story turns, As the characters descend into the dark that surrounds and inhabits them, there is no more light, no sunny days. From then on, the progress of the story goes from night to night. In Dead and Lost, I wanted to present a side of Miami which is never seen in the national context. It's not the flash and dash of Miami Vice or Bad Boys. It's not the sedate world of the Golden Girls or something about Mary. Um, there are some overarching themes present in the book, of which loyalty is the most evident. Sometimes the loyalty is to a friend or partner, sometimes it's to family, and other times to a lover. Loyalty drives the action. So that raises the next question. What is the purpose of the story? What is the purpose of any story, if not to inform the reader and to keep alive a thing that was known then but may not be known now? As the story progresses, we are introduced to a way of life that would have been commonplace to anyone in Miami in the 1950s, 60s, and into the 70s. One of the characters in the story longs for those days that he lived long before, while another character longs to be part of a world that has vanished. In a simple, it's a simple story with simple themes, but stories don't have to be complex to be relatable. We are never as complex as we think we are. At this point, let us get into the text and see the first instance of the light turning into darkness. A pleasant day in an affluent office by the shores of the Miami River, where the daily monotonous work of the legal world takes place, and where we throw in a disruptive force in the form of a 38 caliber revolver. The Falcon floated effortlessly in the upwards created by the steel and glass canyons. 3 times now, the bird had ridden the unseen air currents to circle around the large spire crowning the central courthouse. The Falcon was a master of his craft. His skill at gliding while exerting a minimum of effort was an evolutionary achievement par excellence. The bird's solitary flight went uncelebrated by most. It rode the wind while circling between the buildings and the river, as slow-moving barges churned the gray mud and disturbed what few fish and manatees swam along the concrete embanked shore. The Falcon's aerial ballet was followed closely from a window office on the 42nd floor of the building facing the river. It was from this office, in this building, that Timothy James Arnott, Esquire, envied the effortless freedom of the flight. It symbolized the ultimate freedom as much as Arnott was trapped by his actions. The door to Arnott's office opened, and his secretary walked in. The parties for the Turner deposition have arrived. Everyone is in the conference room D. Timothy nodded to his latest assistant, who after 2 months on the job still had lost the look on her face. The young girl closed the office door, and he knew it was time to go. He stood and turned once more towards the window, but try as he might, he could not find the Falcon. The solitary bird had vanished, and now so was he. He grabbed his coat and smoothed out the wrinkles. Then he straightened his tie and ran his hands down the sides of his head to flatten out his hair. How could I have agreed to do this? He looked at the pictures on his desk. Kids. They promised that the kids would be safe. He picked up the folder containing the deposition and opened the top drawer of his desk, from where he removed a revolver, which he placed in his right coat pocket. The hallway outside the office was nearly deserted. A few secretaries labored to complete their latest assignments as their bosses sat behind closed doors pretending to work. Timothy approached conference room D, hesitated. He slowly turned the knob and pushed the door fully open. Sitting at a large square wooden table, his client guarded in her most revealing outfit. Her soon-to-be ex-husband's attorney sat opposite her, and to his left sat his client. The fourth person, sitting at the far end of the room, was a mousy-looking man with a pencil-thin mustache, preparing his stenographic machine for the task ahead. All eyes turned towards Timothy as he stood by the open door. Schlieffen, the opposing counsel, spoke first. Well, you're finally here. Let's get this done and over with. I'm sure we all have better things to do. Timothy looked over the room, but did not move or speak. Schlieffen looked irritably at him. Well, are we going to do this or not? What do you have to say? Timothy brought out the revolver. Bang, bang, you're dead. As the story goes on, we have many tales, and one is of a character who uh, is living now on the last days of what used to be glory. And so he remembers how his story started. Shato had been straddling the toilet for nearly 2 minutes. No matter how hard he tried, only a weak stream of urine came out. He cursed himself. Goddamn prostate. Used to be able to piss gallons every morning. Now can't fill up a shot glass. He pushed, grunted once more, and was satisfied when he was finally able to relieve himself. Then he went back to the room, scratching himself along the way. Last night had been a long night. In fact, it had been the longest night he had ever had in many years. Having to go pick up the package, arranging for the disposal, driving to the foundry, and then driving into the glades to pick up that big clown Ernesto had taken a toll on him. Maybe that was not fair. After all, he sometimes liked clowns. Ernesto was a wannabe. He thought of himself as a thug from the old days, a real dangerous man, but he was just a cartoon, a poser, a big kid playing mafioso. Shato had met real mafiosos, the kind of guys who make you piss your pants just by a sideways glance. He had grown up around them, first in Cuba and later in Florida. He had met some of the old-time bad guys, not the pinky-wearing ones from the 70s and 80s. He had met the guys who had formed the commission, the last ones who had survived the Castamarese War, the Dons. What the hell do these kids know nowadays about those guys? Granted, most of the guys Chato had dealt with were second-generation guys who had come up through the ranks in the 40s and 50s. But damn it, he had been in the same room as Lansky, Gambino, and Genovese. So the three men never made eye contact with the scrawny kid who had been hired to be a delivery boy at the Riviera Hotel in Havana. Still, he recognized the older man and could claim without lying, I was in the room. I hope you enjoyed the story as much as I enjoyed writing it. It's a fun little tale, and along the way, I tried to bring some characters around to redemption, and I try to make the city and some of its quirkiness as much a part of the story as the actual characters are. Um, with that, Billy, I think I'm done for my side of it.
And thank you, Fernando, and thank you, viewers, for watching our February 2021 Author Showcase Series of Virtual Experience. To pick up the book, please click the links provided below and also stay in touch with our esteemed author. As well, please join us at the South Florida Writers Association each month for our monthly virtual meetings. For more information as well about our supporting bookstore local company, Books and Books, the information is provided below too. And lastly, we ask that you visit our archive by typing in South Florida Writers in YouTube, visiting us there, and subscribing to our page and reviewing the series of showcases we've had for the past year. Thank you for your time and your consideration, and take care.
Thank you.